Hello, beautiful earth angels. I'm just pressing go live on Instagram. Here we go. All right. Welcome to Earth Angels Unite, podcast number 113. The depth of your peace with Archangel Chamuel. The depth of your pain is equal to the depth of the peace you can receive when you invite the angels to heal your heart and heal your pain. This means that however deep your pain appears or feels to you, this is how deep your peace will go and become. To step into the depth of your peace, begin by opening your grateful heart. As the gateway to your angel's love, your heart is the alchemical space of unconditional love that magnetizes miracles. Your grateful heart transforms the depth of your pain into the depth of your peace through gratitude, self-appreciation, and self-compassion. My intention with these podcasts is to create a space of transformation that you come one person and you leave another person, that you leave transformed, whether you're here live, whether you're connecting with the replay, whether you watch us in 5 years from now. And we do this by shining your heart light and healing the pain, the trauma, the wounds, the issues in the tissues. We're bringing that to the light so that the angels can send it love and blessings and healing, right? Of course, when we gather together, we are more powerful. In these podcasts, I'll be sharing teachings from my debut book, Receiving from Your Angels, for practices to heal your pain with angel love and an angel activation, an oracle card to help you, to support you as a beautiful, sensitive soul in trusting your intuition, in relaxing and cherishing your body, in receiving your next level of angelic pain relief. My name is Jill Kempner, angel coach and author. As an angel coach, what I help my clients do is to heal the pain in their bodies, whether it's physical or emotional pain, with the love of the angels. I help my clients develop their own relationship with their angels, right? Through their daily angel practice. I help them to receive love every single day when they're feeling good and when they're in pain. And we do this through the relax, release, receive process outlined in my book. I want to welcome everyone who's going to be here live today, everyone that's going to connect with the replay, to be surrounded in a circle of empowerment, unconditional love, joy, miracles, abundance, compassion, and angelic protection. So happy Tender Tuesday. Where are we? My goodness. Oh, and yeah, tax day. Blessings to the money. Here's a prayer that I say whenever I send money or receive money. I instruct that this money infuse our prosperity 1,000-fold 3 weeks from this date. So I know that as I send money, pay my bills, do all that, pay the taxes, that it's being blessed and returned to me. And then when I receive money, I am blessing the person who sent it to me. So just a little fun blessing that my teacher shared with me. And I try to be so mindful about that, just to stay in the abundance energy and the abundance vortex. Okay. So when I was tuning in to the topic of today, right, the depth of your peace. Hello. Oh, hi, Elif. Welcome. Yeah, say hi if you're here. Let me hop on Instagram for a second because I have to go there separately. Welcome, dear. When I knew that we'd be going through, right, every step of every practice of my book this year. And when release and lead with your heart came, because that's the practice that we're on, right? P3. P3, I lovingly call it. I was like, okay, angels give me titles, right? For, the podcasts. And because I didn't want to call it step 2, open your grateful heart, right? I wanted it to be just different because I probably already talked about this in, previous podcasts. I was like, how can I show up differently, show up next level? And one of the concepts that I talk about, right? One of the teachings that I talk about in this practice was the depth of your pain is equal to the depth of your peace. And when the angels said that to me, it was like this wave of relief washed over me. Because as I've said before, starting to position myself as a pain relief expert, a pain relief specialist, I've experienced every kind of pain, right? Physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, you name it. I've felt it in this lifetime. I know there's been past lives and previous lives as well. So this concept brought me deep relief and continues to sustain me through the ups and downs of the healing journey, knowing that my pain can be healed and transformed into peace with angelic love, help, and support. So last week we talked about inviting the archangels of this practice, right? That we need to ask for help because we have free will. We need to, be intentional about inviting the angels to assist this process, because the release and lead with your heart practice is the most vulnerable, right? It's the most tender. And partly because we start, right? Step 2 that we're talking about today, hi Marie, is open your grateful heart. You can't release unless your heart is open. So we have to start there, right? We start by inviting the archangels of release and lead with your heart, right? Archangel Chamuel, the angel of peace. Archangel Zadkiel, the angel of compassion. Archangel Azrael, the angel of comfort. Archangel Jeremiah, the angel of mercy, right? And all these beautiful energies, we invite them. And then we go deeper in, right? Just that alone begins to open the heart. Then we go deeper and we say, I want to open my heart more. Now, I want to say this, who am I here to serve, right? Earth angels. And what does that mean? Who are the earth angels? You're the empaths of the world. You're the light workers, the healers, the medicine men and women. You are highly sensitive and highly intuitive, right? And I'm here to help you open up all those channels. And we do that through the awesome heart, right? The amazing heart. That's really our power center. A lot of times people will say the power center is the solar plexus, and there is power in the solar plexus because we've got that fire energy. But the greatest power of the universe is unconditional love. And the center of unconditional love is your heart chakra, muscle of your heart, all of that. Okay, love those downloads. And we already started talking about the heart. Let me see what the angels are saying. So there's no reason, really, the whole point and concept of this, right? The depth of your pain is equal to the depth of your peace. It means there's no reason to fear your pain, your hurt, right? I'm calling all the wounds pain, but I'll also be talking about hurt because that's some of the shadows of the heart, right? When you invite and allow angel love to flow. So remember, your heart is the center of your being physically, and spiritually, right? Your heart, what I talk about and talk about in every meditation and I talk about with my clients, right? Is your heart is the gateway to your angel's love. So when we redevote, right, what do? We put our hands on our heart. When we pray, we put our hands on our heart, right? This is where we give and receive love. Give love, receive love. Give love, receive love. Not only from the angels, of course, from others, right? And we can feel when someone's heart is open, right? And we can feel when someone's heart is closed, right? We meaning us empaths, right? Us earth angels. So understanding that your heart, right, really is the power center. It's the alchemical space of unconditional love. So it's an alchemical space, and why, right? It's the space that creates transformation is because unconditional love is what transforms the pain, the hurt, the sadness, the grief, the shadows of the heart, which I'll name here today. So I like to also think of your heart as the holy haven, right? And what does that mean? That this is where we're whole, right? There's holy, meaning like of divine nature, right? But also whole. Like I love the word holy because it's about being whole. I know that there's, when I speak about the angels, there's no religious affiliation, right? They're non-denominational. But sometimes certain words, like even devotion, I've started to reclaim that word devotion back from religion and put it into it's the sacred within you and around you. It's the same thing with holy, right? Holy means it's your reminder that you're whole, you're pure, and that you're safe. With that, I feel like these kind of go together, right? Your heart is the emotional sanctuary. And I'm talking about heart, I'm talking about the heart chakra temple, right? This energetic space, this alchemical space of love. It's an emotional sanctuary for all of you. Every single part of you is loved, held, welcomed, nurtured, nourished inside of your heart temple. It's only other parts of us that forget that feel exiled or abandoned, that feel the shadows of the heart, right? So what are the shadows of the heart? What does that mean? Right? So unconditional love, right, is the medicine of the heart. It is the medicine. And so some of the shadows of the heart, and what I'm hearing the angels say, and then I'm going to talk about my personal story of hurt and heartache, is when I say these, when I name these, see which one kind of pings for you today. See which one, right, is sort of your pain. And there could be more than one, of course. But your soul will highlight, your guardian angels will highlight that part, right, that shadow that needs to be released. Okay. So there's hurt. These are the shadows of the heart. Hurt, heartache, grief, loss, sadness, depression, abandonment, loneliness, rejection. Shadows of the heart, betrayal, disappointment, hatred, and self-loathing. So you can see there's a lot that the heart holds. Feel free if you want to be vulnerable, if you want to be, you want to step into more heart healing, you can put that down in the chat or in the comments. What shadow you're healing? Because the more clear you are, the more you're going to receive, the more love, the more healing, the more compassion. So when you've experienced the shadows of the heart, right, the instinct is to what? Shut down, right? Close the doorway to your heart, close the gateway to your heart so you don't get hurt again, right? Or to hold on to that hurt, raise your hand, right? So you don't get hurt more or deeper. But that's the ego trapping, right? Because holding on to hurts, to old hurts, to protect yourself from hurt, right, is ego self-sabotage. It doesn't work. And guess what? Hurt attracts hurt. So if you hold on to that hurt, because I don't want to be hurt anymore, I don't want to be hurt any deeper, right? It's still an imprint in your field. You're still holding on to it, and you're continuing to attract that pattern. So the angels are here, right? Chamuel and the angels of release and lead with your heart to clear that. Um, hurt like light attracts light. So we want to take all that hurt, bring it to the light, and turn it into the depth of your compassion, right? Because the depth of your hurt is equal to the depth of your compassion and self compassion that you can feel and radiate. So I hope that alone begins to bring you peace. So, it was interesting because I was thinking, okay, so what story should I tell, right? What, about being hurt. And all these stories were kind of flooding my mind. Oh, and I was like, okay, yeah, there's a lot. And I didn't know which one really was the one. And then, I was thinking as I was preparing for today. And then what the angels said, was time to take a walk because I walk every day as part of my exercise. And it's equally physical and spiritual to me, my nature walks and getting outside. Although I walked too much and too hard on Sunday, so I tweaked my calf. So I had to walk really slow and do a shorter walk yesterday. And so it's almost the minute I got outside, the angels are like, just tell the story you already told. Tell the story in the book. And I was like, oh yeah. And I do think, one of the things when I was first writing the story about my father's death, I remember writing like I was born into hurt. And why I felt that was that I felt like my mom was always hurt. And I now realize upon her passing that, she was just so sensitive, and as empaths, as sensitive souls, we feel things so deeply. Sometimes the tiniest little thing can be this trigger for this really big hurt. And so the story that I share in my book was, sort of, because a lot of people say, well, how did you get into angels? How did you get into this? And I usually will say, sum it up in one word. And what I'll say is trauma. Trauma is what led me to become a healer, right? The wounded healer. The traumas I had experienced in, the first decade of my life, entering the second decade of my life, I was only 11 for 2 weeks before my dad died. And before he passed, this first 10 years of our life was really stressful. We didn't have family, familial support, financial support, emotional support. So my parents struggled, right? They struggled, day to day. When they were stressed, there was fighting, there was, substance abuse. More from a space of numbing and buffering, wanting not to feel, their stress and their pain. And I have so much compassion for them. And there was a lot that unfolded. We moved from apartment to apartment to apartment. I make the joke, but it's not funny. Roach infested apartment to roach infested apartment. One apartment we lived in the basement apartment. This was the apartment before my dad passed. We lived in a basement apartment and we flooded. And that was scary in and of itself and all that. And then after we flooded, so much of our stuff was ruined and my dad didn't want to pay rent anymore. He's like, hey, until I'm compensated for what's been lost, I'm not paying rent. And then we got evicted. And I think that's when we were homeless for a little bit. But we lived right across the street from the school. So I remember coming home from school and all of our stuff was, I'm going to be emotional, all of our stuff was on the front lawn. And I remember being so embarrassed, so ashamed. And my dad, they were carrying it out and my dad was carrying it back in. It was like this whole thing. So there was a lot, right? That was just a lot of trauma. And then when I was 11 and my dad was 40, he was killed. And he was a hero. He stepped into a robbery in progress. Um, and as you can imagine, that was very traumatic, very sad. And I remember, I can think back to, that was a moment when I shut my heart down. And this, like, and because I had, leading up to that traumatic event, there were a lot of micro hurts, and I'll talk about micro hurts more next week, right? These tiny little pebbles of hurt. My mom would hurt me because she was upset. My dad would hurt me because he was upset. I was hurt because I did feel like I didn't have grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins, and I was hurt because we didn't have money, like I couldn't have the things I wanted, all this stuff, right? Little micro hurts, micro hurts, micro hurts, turning into a boulder, turning into eventually, and then that my dad's death turning into this mountain of hurt, sadness, grief, pain, anger, all of that. And I got hard for a really long time. Really, until I met my soulmate. I was, kind of a badass. No one was going to mess with me. No one was ever going to hurt me again. Everybody was stupid, because that's how I protected myself. And, it took a lot of other initiations and a lot of other, challenging things to kind of crack it open, right? To melt the boulder, to melt the iceberg, the mountain, to crumble the mountain. Yeah. And sorry, my eyes were tearing, and then I got a little something, maybe one of my eyelashes got loose. I'm just listening for a minute because I wanted to see I know where I'm going, but it's like, where am I going with this? And I slowly healed. I think what cracked it was going to the psych hospital after my daughter was born. I had that storm energy. I met my soulmate, we got engaged, in 2 years' time, we got, we bought a house, we got married, my father-in-law passed away, that brought up the father wound and everything I hadn't processed, right? Because I was doing sort of what my parents did, buffering and numbing, I was suppressing. I wasn't processing and dealing with the hurt and the grief and all of that. And my father-in-law passed, and then a year later, not even a year later, 9 months later, I had my daughter. So that first year of life, my first year of my daughter's life, my first child's life, was really hard for me, and I thought, maybe I have postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety, something's going on. But really what I had was PTSD, right? It was unprocessed, unhealed PTSD, right? Of all the stress, all the trauma that I had went through, that my body was holding, my heart was holding. So that was my opening. That's when the mountain of hurt cracked. Because I crumbled, and I went through that dark night of the soul where I felt lost and confused and ashamed and very judgmental. All the judgment that I had been protecting, that had been protecting me in some ways, was now in my face to heal. So I'm just going to read what I have here and then keep going. So when I was writing this chapter about releasing, right, this, like I said, release and lead with your heart is the most tender of all, right? First, we renew our devotion. We make that, commitment to receiving love from the angels, no matter what. Then we relax. physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And then from the relaxation, we can release to lead with our heart, right? And it's the most tender of all the practices because we have to have our heart open. We have to look at the pain and learn from it. And obviously, that initiation of losing my dad, and not only losing my dad, because losing your parent at a young age is hard no matter what, but for him to be killed, murdered, that was like next level trauma, you know. Talk about feeling helpless and powerless and angry. I mean, anger became my best friend for years, really until I met my soulmate, and then that softened. And then when I had my daughter, I was like, I need to deal with this stuff, right? The dark night of the soul taught me I need to take better care of myself. And that's when I created my daily angel practice, which I still do today. I do every single day. And I teach now other people how to do that so they can heal their pain. So whether your pain is physical or emotional, your angels know how to heal it. So when I was writing this chapter about releasing, and I heard the depth of your pain is equal to the depth of your peace, I just felt this amazing relief. And I thought, oh my gosh, yes, like that. I knew it was an angel download. I felt relief. I felt lighter. I felt relieved. I knew it was, I just said that. I knew it was an angelic download, right? Because my human brain wanted to fight it. Well, how? How can my pain and hurt lead me to peace? The hurt part of me didn't want to let go of the hurt. The hurt right? And part of how we heal this, right, is the hurt needs to be witnessed, right, for its suffering and be acknowledged. So we can't fully release hurt and anger and pain and all of that we're holding on to until it's witnessed. And that's where the angels come in, because the angels can help us fortify, strengthen our soul's light, strengthen our heart medicine so we can witness that suffering without drowning. So even deeper than that, right? We can't fully release the pattern, because this is all about release and lead with your heart, right? And the power of this practice, because we want to get to the other side, which is receiving love from the angels, right? Trusting our intuition, which is practice number 4. But first, we have to release. And how we fully release is we learn the lesson and the deeper meaning. And I know that initiation that I went through, right, that hurt, the trauma of my father's death, propelled me on this path of being a healer, because I wanted to understand why I went through something so hard. Why did that happen to him? Why did this happen to our family? And why was all these, what was going on? I wanted to understand it. And I was led, because I had this desire to understand what this was all about. I was led to the tools. I was led to create this book and the relax, release, receive process. So I hope that resonates. And again, this isn't easy, right? So if you need help with this, if you're working on whatever you're working on, I'd love to be part of your team. So if you're interested in hiring me as your angel coach, you can set up a free consult. So I have something called an angelic pain relief consult. And it's a 1-hour consult over Zoom. And it's a heartfelt, compassionate space, sacred space, where I am listening to you and your angels. And I'm helping you understand the deeper meaning of your pain. I'm sharing what your pain is really about, right? You think it's this, but it's really this. I'm sharing what your angels are saying about the pain, which is where the relief starts. And then in that consult, I pull an archangel for you. And this archangel is going to be one of your helpers in healing that pain, right? Based on what we talked about in the consult. And then if we're a good fit, I will share the details of my coaching program with you. I'd love to have that conversation with you. And I want to say this. I understand that it can be scary or intimidating, right, to have this conversation because, our soul wants to know, our soul wants us to grow and heal and evolve, but our ego's like, no, I'm not ready to let that go. Or, there could be a fear of investing in yourself, of putting yourself first. I remember when I first invested in my coach, it was a business coach, and it was like a group coaching that was thousands of dollars. And I remember being, shaking in my boots that I was making this investment in myself and my business and all of that. And of course, I'm so happy I did, you know. And as a coach, I have a coach, of course. I'm investing in myself and continuously up leveling. But I know it can be intimidating, and we can talk about that in the consult as well, right? The fear of investing in yourself, the fear of putting yourself first and really getting to the depth. I had a student say, I don't know who I am without pain. And I thought, wow, right? Like we can become so attached to it. Okay. So, step 2. Step 2 in the releasing process is open your grateful heart, right? Gratitude magnetizes miracles. What's a miracle? It's a shift from fear to love, right? And miracles move those mountains of hurt. And it did. It took a miracle and many miracles. So really, I can sit here today and say, I don't have a mountain of hurt about my father's death and murder and all of that. Absolutely not. I hope it's a shining gem that is magnetizing the people I'm here to serve, that's helping you know that you can go through really hard stuff and you can come out on the other side more peaceful, more compassionate, and more loving. And I hope you feel that. So being thankful activates the heart to open to your angel's love, right? And the angel's love is what transforms that pain into compassion, into wisdom, into the gem. Right? Attitude of gratitude is the key that opens the gateway to your angel's love, that opens your heart. So remember, I love this analogy the angels gave me. Thinking about your, that we have this gate, right, at our heart, the gate that opens. And the micro hertz is the rust on the hinges of the gate, right? That's slowing the flow of your angel's love. And gratitude is the grease that lets that gateway open up. I was like, oh my God, I love that analogy. So understanding that being grateful for your blessings is sort of the first level. Of course, we can be grateful for everything that's good that's going in our life, the abundance, the love, the healing. But next level, right, is gratitude for the challenge, for the struggle, for that hurt, for that pain, right? And we can't, our human egos cannot do that alone, right? We need the divine to support us. And then gratitude, one of the aspects of open your grateful heart is self-appreciation. Holding yourself in high regard, appreciating yourself and everything you've been through, right? Witnessing your past with the eyes of love. The angels, I wrote this in my book. This comes directly out of my book. Self-appreciation creates a cushion of love around you that attracts more angels to your side. So good news is the more you love and appreciate yourself, right, the more angels you have around you, right? And that's another level of safety and protection and support. I love that. So let's invite Chamuel. Let's invite Chamuel and ask a few questions. Let's get you into your beautiful, grateful heart. Thank you, Elif. Yes. Yeah, I understand being a little afraid to hear what your angels, you just have a part that's afraid to hear your angels. So closing your eyes, if that's available for you, taking a few cleansing breaths. I'm just relaxing, softening your muscles from your bones. Feeling deep gratitude for the archangels of release and lead with your heart as we welcome them here, for your amazing guardian angels who have been with you since the creation of your soul, who love you unconditionally and beyond. And then we welcome beautiful Chamuel here, right? The angel of peace, of unconditional love, of soulmate energy. Of self-appreciation, self-compassion. Thank you, Archangel Chamuel, for bringing me the medicine of peace, compassion, and unconditional love to me and into my heart. I invite the pink healing light of Archangel Chamuel to open my heart to self-love and being an instrument of peace. Thank you for reminding me that I am the beloved one, so I can love my pain in all of my parts unconditionally. I welcome and allow the angels of peace, compassion, and unconditional love to open my heart wider to assist in the releasing process. So as we stand here, stand or sit in gratitude, stepping into the heart temple, just feel so much gratitude. Here's one of the things I write in my book, right? Focusing on a feeling or memory of gratitude, something that fills your heart to overflowing with joy and appreciation. It could be this morning I opened up the back door, I heard a cardinal. Right? Something, just a memory of gratitude. It could be something recent or past. So Chamuel is radiating a pink light from his heart to your heart, just radiating this beautiful pink light. It's like a pearlescent pink light. And just let this gratitude, right, gently expand your heart's capacity to be open, to be tender. I'm feeling appreciation for who you are, for everything you've been through. And so we invite the part that's been hurt, we invite the part that's been abused or traumatized or stressed, whatever it is, whatever the pain is, let it be in the center of your heart, filled with the pink light of unconditional love, of deep peace, the peace that surpasses understanding. And just let your heart be open. Chamuel assisting that process. Bring your hands to your heart, the gateway of your angel's love, and say silently or out loud, I am devoted to receiving love from my angels. Let your heart open to your angel's love. And if there's been a deep hurt that you're processing, it's normal to feel some resistance or contraction to opening your heart. That's okay. Just keep receiving love, keep receiving peace, keep appreciating, right? Angels of self-appreciation, angels of unconditional love, angels of compassion surrounding you now. Loving angels, how can I open my heart wider to you today, this week? What's one thing that needs to release? What shadow of the heart needs to release? So I can open my heart wider to your love, so I can heal to the next level. What shadow needs to release? Breathe and allow. Trust your intuition. Trust your clairs. Trust your heart. Archangel Chamuel, guardian angels, how can I appreciate myself more this week? What's one thing I can do say, think, or feel that can increase my self-appreciation quotient? How can I appreciate myself more this week? What's one thing I can do or say to myself or acknowledge so I can increase my ability to appreciate myself? Just breathe, listen, trust. So the archangels reminding us of how multidimensional they are. Chamuel in the front of you, behind you, to the right and left, radiating all aspects of his medicine, right? Unconditional love, peace, self-acceptance, self-appreciation, contentment. So let your heart be filled with that. Know that you will receive these answers in perfect timing, in a dream, when you're walking, when you're showering. Trust, trust, trust. As we bring our hands to our hearts in prayer mudra, we dedicate the healing that you've received today to all our relations in all directions of time. Michael, recalibrating your energy body to your normal daily activities on all 4 levels of your being: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, in all directions of time. Sealing this Archangel Chamuel activation with a namaste. This attitude of gratitude activation. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm going to pull a card for you. How is it that you are releasing hurt and opening your grateful heart this week? Let's see. I felt like doing an angel prayer deck. And I was so feeling this earlier today. Live your joy, baby. Thank you, angels, for supporting me as I follow my joy. Guess what? On the other side of that pain is joy. On the other side of that pain is peace, right? The depth of your pain is equal to the depth of your joy. So bring it on. Let yourself receive more joy. Be joyful. We're not suppressing. We're not spiritually bypassing, right? We're feeling the pain and releasing it. And on the other side of that, we're receiving our joy. I love this so much. Live your joy. And if you want to up level that joy energy, abundance energy, I'm going to be at Sacred Ground tonight for the Healing Angels meditation, Abundance Vortex meditation. I can't wait to share that with you. It's from 7 to 8 p.m., in Arlington Heights, so you have to be local, but I'd love for you to join us. And I do send this replay in my newsletter. So if you're not on my newsletter, go to my website, jillkempnerhealing.com. Angels remind me to put links for everything in here. I'll put the link to the breakthrough consult, short questionnaire, the link to my website, to my newsletter, and then also to the masterclass, which will be on May 22nd. Reclaim your power when you're in pain with angel love. So I'd love to see you. I will be back next week for the next podcast, whatever that is. And I hope you have a beautiful week. Sending you so much love and angel blessings. Namaste and love, Jill. Bye, everyone. Bye, Elif. Bye, Marie. Bye, anyone. There was the shaman, Amy. Namaste. Love you.